So welcome to the day 2 session of APM with Python. I hope yesterday's session is clear to all of you. Do you guys have any questions from our last session? Okay, great. Were you all able to receive the emails with the details of the notes, assignment, exercises and the video? Okay. Did you guys try to have a look at the video? Were you able to access it? Okay, if you face any challenge, please let me know and we will figure it out. Thank you. So today we are going to talk about some more basic concepts which helps us write down a little bit more complex programs. We are going to talk about primarily decision making statements, and we are going to talk about looping statements, and we are going to talk about loop breaking and continuation statements. So this is what we are going to do today, and with the help of this knowledge we will be able to solve few more questions. So the first thing first, we are going to talk about the decision making statement, which is the if statement. So the purpose of the if statement is to basically evaluate a condition or an expression, and based upon the result, which is either true or false, it follows a path and executes certain steps. Now there are different variants of ifs which are available. One is known as the simple if statement, where you just have one if and you have a condition in here. You use a colon to mark the end of the condition. Then you press enter and you press tab to state that these set of statements are inside this particular if block of code. Then you have got the if else block where you have got an if condition, colon, statements which execute if true, otherwise you have an else, statements which execute if false. Okay. So you have got a simple if. The statements will execute if the condition is true. Then you have got an if else block of code where you have got an if condition where the statements inside the if will execute if true, else it will go to the false scenario. So let us take a question which we will try to solve. Ask user to enter a number. Find out if the number is even or odd. Okay. So basically what we do is we ask user to enter a number, divide the number by 2. If output is 0, the number is even, else the number is odd. Correct? Do we all agree? Okay. So if we have to solve this particular problem, how will we do it? So new file, even odd. We say number is equal to int input. Please enter a number. So we are prompting the user to enter a number. Now I write down my if condition. If num mod 2 is equal to 0 colon, I will say print even, else print odd. Okay. So if the number is divisible, it will print even. If not, it will print odd. When I execute this program, I ask user to provide me with some number. So we get 3 and we get the output as odd. Is this clear? Okay. Let's try another program where you will be basically working out. The idea is that you get familiar with the syntax. ask user to enter two numbers, find out which one is greater. Okay, so you have to write down a program which asks user to provide us with two numbers, and then you have to find out which one is greater. Please solve it. Okay, correct. So just a small thing that if you are comparing or if you are trying to evaluate a condition, an expression if in an if statement, always use brackets. Okay. So the idea is again code readability. So always use brackets. Both of you, the answer is correct. Okay. So we'll just say if num1 greater than num2, okay, in brackets, that's all. Now let us have a look at further variants of if. Then you have got the multiple if statement. Okay. So sometimes we come across situations where there are more than one condition to be evaluated. So that block of code is basically solved by the if elif code. So we have if condition, then you will have some statements to execute. Elif condition, you have some set of statements to execute. Then you can further have elif condition, and then you can finally have an else block of code to execute. If none of the above conditions meet, then whatever is there in the else block of code execute. So this is the if elif block, if elif else block, where you, if you come across a question which has got multiple conditions to be evaluated, we use this. So let us try a question. Ask user to enter student marks. Based on it, print the grade received by the student. So we have to ask user to enter the student marks, and based on it we have to print the grade received by the student. So how will we solve it? So what is the matrix? So if the person has secured between 81 to 100, the grade is A. If secured between 61 to 80, the grade is B. If secured between 41 to 60, the grade is C. If secured between 0 to 40, it is fail. If there are marks which are entered anywhere between less than 0 or greater than 100, you basically say that this is invalid entry. So if we have this particular situation provided, how will we solve it? So let us write the first condition. So if marks greater than 80 and marks less than equal to 100, correct? First condition. So similarly for the next it will be 60 and 80, then 40 and 60, then 0 and 40, and lastly we will evaluate for the invalid condition. So here we have asked the user to enter the marks. If marks are less than 100 and marks are greater than 80, then you have to print grade A. If marks are less than 80 and marks are greater than 60, then you have to print grade B. Else if marks are less than 60 and marks are greater than 40, then you have to print grade C. Else if marks is less than equal to 40 and marks is greater than equal to 0, you have to print fail. Else you have to print invalid marks. So both the condition has to be evaluated. Both the situations have to be made true for a particular statement inside this program to get executed. I'm sharing this code. Have a look at this code and execute it on your system. And if you have any question, let me know. So let us run this program and try out some entry. Let us say I enter 76, I get grade B. Let us say I enter 9, I should get fail. And let me try an invalid entry. So minus 10 provides me with invalid marks. So all my situations for this particular if statement are evaluated. Okay. Now let us take a practice question to solve. Based on the following information, print the weather condition for today. So if humidity is between humidity and temperature, and then you have got the weather forecast. Okay, so there is a table which is available. So if humidity is between 0 to 20 and the temperature is between 0 to 20, the weather forecast is cold. If the humidity is between 0 to 20 and if the humidity is between 0 to 20 and the temperature is between 10 to 30, the weather forecast is warm. If the humidity is between 60 to 100 and the temperature is between 10 to 30, the weather forecast is rain. This should be between to 60. Okay, so let us say this is the table which is available. So there is humidity, there is temperature, and then there is weather forecast associated with it. So if you have to solve this particular question, how will you go about it? So you can share the first expression, and based on that rest of your expressions will get created. So Samir, your logic is not correct. Read the logic you have written again and try it out to correct it. So we will have to find out humidity should be between 0 to 20. So humidity is greater than equal to 0 and humidity is less than equal to 20, and so there is an and there are three brackets. Temperature should also be between 0 to 20 and temperature should be between 0 to 20, so it is less than equal to 20. So if this is the condition, we print that the weather is cold, okay? And then you will continue with the rest of the statements. So in here, we have to evaluate both the conditions. Why don't we do just the two? Which two? We have done the two only. We have done humidity and temperature. So there are two values associated with humidity, which is providing us with the range, and two values associated with the temperature. Because you have to compare the value of humidity to lie in the range of 0 to 20. How would you do it if you don't type it twice? So how will we solve it if we don't type it twice about humidity and temperature? Okay, and everywhere there will be an and condition because it has to be between 0 and 20, and temperature also has to be between 0 and 20. So everywhere there will be an and operator being used, not the or operator. Okay, is this clear? The expression. Is there a way to have an operator to compare within the humidity block? There is, which we will talk about when we talk about the concept of range and after we have discussed list. Remind me this question again, Marian, and I will answer you. So when we will see today itself range, we will understand that yes, there is a way to solve it by using just one expression for humidity and one for temperature. So basically, if you could have written something like this, humidity in 0 to 20 and temperature in 0 to 20. If something like this could have been possible, which indeed it is in Python, then your expression becomes simple to read and easy to write. correct? So this is about the multiple if else block where you have got more than one condition and then you solve it using the if elif else block of code. The last type of if variant is the nested if variant where you have got a main condition. So there is a main condition which is available and then you have got sub conditions available. So you have another if inside if and you say it is a sub condition. Then you can further have another if inside this if. So in this situation, the only thing we need to be careful about is to understand from the indentation which else belong to which if. Okay. Sometimes this may get confusing. So we have to just understand from this indentation which if belongs to which particular block of code. Okay. So this is your nested if condition where you have got a main condition and inside the main condition you have got further sub conditions. To solve this particular problem, to understand this particular implementation, let's try to solve a problem. For the following table of income, calculate the tax an individual has to pay. So if the individual gender is male and the income is between 0 to 30,000 USD, the tax is 0%. If the income is between 30,000 to 50,000, then the tax is 10%. If the income is between 50,000 to 1, the tax is 20%. If the income is greater than that, then the tax is 30%. But if the gender is female with the same income group, the tax is reduced. Okay. Now to solve this particular problem, to treat the gender male and gender female, you can consider it as 0 and this you can consider it as 1. So what you will need? You will need two inputs from the end user. One is for the gender, the other is for the income. And how will we solve it? So we say the main condition, if gender equal to 0, and now you start writing down your code for your income group. If income is greater than equal to 0 and income is less than equal to 30, in that situation you have got tax as 0%. Elif income is greater than equal to, okay, and income is less than equal to, if this is the situation, the tax to be calculated is as 10%, and so on and so forth you will do. Elif gender equal to 1, then you will have again the same set of logic inside it, and finally you can have an else where you say bad gender value. Okay, so this is the pseudo code which I am trying to give you guys a idea about. If you have to solve this problem, how would you be writing down your if expression? Does this make sense? Okay, so as in this, I will give you an assignment problem where you have to write down the actual code to solve this particular problem and proceed with it. Yes, if the user enters gender 0, no, it is going to take value only once. So the first time when the person is entering gender, the second time the person will be prompted about the income. So the user is going to, before it starts evaluation, it is going to ask you for two inputs, gender and income. I have not yet taught you loop to do this. The one which you are requesting that you enter for male, and then you are prompting the user, do you want to change the gender? No, we are not complicating it. Okay. So this will be provided as an assignment for the code to be written and to be solved. Any questions about if? No, we do not have a switch in Python, but again, multiple if is very similar to your implementation of switch. You do not have a switch in Python. Yeah, definitely, Marian. The if block of code is pretty much handy and very helpful in solving complex problems. And if your expression is wrong, then the if code behavior would be wrong. So the idea is to use correct operators, whether numeric or boolean, to create the correct expression. Okay, so that's generally where the struggle lies. Now we are going to talk about the concept of the loops. So in the loops, what do we have is, if we have got a certain set of statements whose execution we would want to be repeated, okay? So if we got a certain set of statements where the execution has to be repeated again and again, but the logic part of the execution doesn't change. The data associated with that execution can change, but the logic part of that execution doesn't change. To solve those situations, we come across something called as loops. For example, if I ask you to write down a program, find all even numbers between 1 to 100. Would you like to write the if statement 100 times? If 1 mod 2 0, if 2 mod 2 0, if 3 mod 2 0. We don't want to do that, right? Because our logic that if number mod 2 is 0 doesn't change. The value associated with number has to be changed incrementingly 1, 2, 3, 4. So, how do we solve such situations? To solve such situations, we have got two types of loop available in Python, the while and the for. Let us first see the while loop. So in while, let me declare this. I declare I as 0. I say while. Now the condition has to be true. So I less than 10, print I is equal to I plus 1. How many times will I get printed in here? So I will get printed first 0, then I would get printed as 1, and so on till I become 9. Because the minute I becomes 10, this condition becomes false and we come out of the loop. So the while condition is looped until the condition is true. When the condition becomes false, it exits the loop. Understood? Yes, I am there. I'm asking you guys to solve this question. Find out all even numbers between 1 and 100, and to solve this you will have to use both while and if. So attempt it, please. Good answer, Marian. Good answer. It is just that instead of saying I by 2, you use I mod 2. So in here, you have to be careful about your looping condition. So in your looping condition, what you have to do is, so you say your I is equal to 1 while I is less than equal to 100. If I mod 2 is 0, then you have to say print I, and you have to say I is equal to I plus 1. This I is equal to I plus 1 should be outside the if but inside the while. This is how your code should look like, Marian. Okay? So it will print all the even numbers between 1 to 100. So your printing of I should be inside if, but your incrementing of I should be outside the if but inside the while. Okay? Clear? Is this clear, Samir? No. You indent statements, those statements inside if which should be inside if. So this is basically how your pseudocode should look like, right? Your pseudocode says that if the number mod 2 is 0, then you want to print it. And this incrementation is a part of your while. You want to evaluate all numbers between 1 to 100. It has got nothing to do with this condition. So I has to be incremented irrespective of whether this condition is met or not. If you put inside in here I is equal to I plus 1, then it will only get evaluated for certain, only when I mod 2 is 0. You will print I and I will get incremented, which will be never. Because your I is 1, 1 less than equal to 100 is true, 1 mod 2 is 0, false, and nothing. Your loop will not even execute. I mean, it will execute, but there will be nothing to be shown. And it will rather be an infinite condition because the I never increments. So you have to stop the execution. So the incrementation of the I is irrespective of your if because it is a part of your while block of code. Right. So is this clear? Sure. Let us try another interesting problem. Ask user to enter a number and print it. Repeat the process until user enters a negative number. So you have to basically ask user to enter a number and you have to print that number, and you have to continue this until the user provides a negative number. So how will you solve this problem? So if the user enters 1, you print 1. If the user enters 3, you print 3. But the user enters a negative value, you exit. So how would you go about solving this? Please attempt it. So I have not yet taught you guys the break keyword, but nevertheless your implementation is fine, Samir. So let us see. We say I is equal to int. We ask the user to enter a number. If the number is greater than 0, we print it and we ask the user to enter a number again. And this will continue executing until you enter a negative number. So the minute you enter a negative number, your while condition becomes false, and what would happen? You will exit the loop. Is this clear? Have a look at this code on your systems. If you have any question, let me know. This is also fine. Rather, this is good because you are considering zero value. So if the person enters zero, it will still ask the user to prompt for the new number. So this is better rather. So you can say 5 is greater than -1. Okay, sure. So is while loop clear to you guys? And the usage of while with an if. So you can have an if within a while or a while within an if. Both the situations can arise. So any questions in here regarding the while loop? Okay, great. So let's take a short break, a break of 5-10 minutes. And after that, we are going to talk about the for loop and the loop continuation keywords. So during the break, my voice will be on mute and screen on hold. I'll see you guys in next 10 minutes. Resuming the session. I hope you guys are back. So let us talk about the for loop. But before we speak about the for loop, we have to understand a concept called as range in Python. So range is basically a way to create a list of numbers. So range has a start, it has a stop, and it has got a step. So there are three entities associated with the range: start, stop, and step. Let us see an example. If I say range 1, 10, 2. So 1 is in here is the start, 10 in here is the stop, and 2 in here is the step. So what all values will I be able to take? 1, 3, 5, 7, and 9. If I say range 1, 10, I don't define a step. By default, the step is always 1. So I will have 1, 2, 3, 4 until 10 until 9 available. So default step is 1 if you do not specify. I can also define a range like this: range 20, 10, minus 2. In this case, it will print 20, then 18, then 16, and so on till it reaches 12. Okay, so this is how the range problem is, or this is how the ranges are created in Python and they work in Python. So this is a good link where it talks about the range function. So range is a function which is available to us, and you can read more about it from this link. Okay, so the for loop, when we are working with the for loop, we need to use this range function. So we declare it like this: for I in range 1, 10, print I. What all values will get printed? 1, 2, 3, 4 till it will reach 9. Okay, so the for loop for the same problem where you are trying to print between 1 and 10 will be solved like this. Okay, does this make sense? So let us see an example. So we are asking the user to provide us with a start range and an end range. Based upon the start range and an end range, we want to find out all the numbers which are a multiple of 7, which are basically divisible by 7. So we say S range int input enter start range. Then we fetch the end range. Then we say for I in range S range comma end range, if I mod 7 is 0, you print I. That's it. So let's run this program. So we enter a start range, enter an end range. So it will basically print the table of 7 because I have entered start range and end range as 2 and 70. Okay? Does this make sense? So sharing this program, have a look at it on your systems. Okay. Now let us try to write down a program. Write a program which prints all even numbers in ascending order between 1 to 10 and all odd numbers in descending order between 1 to 10. Use the for loop. You can solve it using the while also, but I want you guys to solve it using the for. Please attempt it. Oh, I'm sorry. Sure. So even number is in ascending order, odd number is in descending order. You might want to correct your range options, Amir. Fine. For even number, this is correct. What about odd number? Correct. So your approach is correct. So correct. So for ascending order, you will be taking from 1 to 10. For descending order, you will be taking from 10 to 1. Now coming back to the problem, with the help of range about temperature and humidity, you can solve the problem by using this loop, this condition statement. So you can use the range in here to state that the temperature is in range between 0 and 21 and humidity is in range between 0 and 21. Then you have to print cold. And similarly, you can further write down the code to solve it for the rest of the conditions. Okay. So using the range function, you can solve this particular problem. Is this clear? Okay. Now we are going to have a look at the two loop continuation keywords. You have a question, Marian? You can ask. When you tried the ascending and descending, okay. The range 10 to 1 did not work for you. You have to say 10 to 1 along with the step minus 1. Because remember, the step is always a positive one. So you have to give a minus 1 in here so that the range function knows you want to do a descending order. So for ascending, your range would be 1 to 10. But for descending, your range would be 10 comma 1 comma minus 1 so that it knows it has to descend. Okay, great. So we are now going to talk about some of the loop continuation or exiting keywords. So the first such keyword is a break keyword. The purpose of the break keyword is to exit the loop or the condition. So if we encounter a break keyword while working on a program and we have used it in the looping statement primarily, suppose we come across a condition which we do not want to evaluate any further. In that situation, we can use the break keyword and exit the loop. Another is pass. Pass is for skipping a value. Let us say you are in a loop and for a particular value you don't want to evaluate the expression, you want to skip that calculation. So you will use the keyword pass. So break will exit the loop, pass will skip the loop. Okay, make sense? Yes, we will see in a demo. So let us say we have got two variables, a as 10 and b as 20, and you want to print in ascending order first. So we say for I in range a, b and 2, if I is 16, we want to break, else we want to print I. So we are going to work in a program in which we are trying to uh, let me make it a little less complicated, just for the ease of understanding. Okay. So we are saying for I in range A and B, if I becomes 16, we want to break and exit the loop, else we will keep on printing I. So what will happen? It will print 10, 11, 12, 13, 14 and 15. and the moment it encounters and increments the value to 16, it will exit the loop. Okay, it will encounter the break keyword and exit the loop. Now you have got a value of j which is there in the range a and b. If j is 14, it will pass, else it will print j. So what values will get printed in here? 10, 11, 12, 13, then 15, 16, 17. It will skip the printing of 14. So you can see in here, this is an example of the break keyword in action. So it doesn't print any value after 15. And this is an example of the pass keyword. It skips the value 14. Okay. Is this clear? The purpose of the break and the pass keyword? So we will take a few assignment problems. So your question 1 is, write down a program which asks user to enter three values, print the smallest of them. Your second question is, write down a program which takes a number as input and prints the factorial as output. So n factorial is n into n minus 1 into n minus 2 till you reach 1. Example 5 factorial is 5 into 4. Okay, so this is your program. Write down a program which prints the Fibonacci series up till 100. So in the Fibonacci series, 0 and 1 are by default. The next number in the series is sum of previous two numbers. The next number in the series is sum of previous two number. So you have to write down the Fibonacci series till you encounter 100. Okay, up till 100. Your question 4 is, based on the following table, find out the house tax to be paid by the individual. So you have in here a marital status and you have in here the house tax. So if the marital status is single, your house tax is 10%. If the marital status is married, your house tax is 20%. If the marital status is divorced, your house tax is 30%. If the marital status is widower, your house tax is 5%. So you can in here consider some numeric values for these variations: single, married, divorced or widower, and based on that you calculate and print that this is your house tax you have to pay. And your fifth question is, write down a program which prints the table or the multiplication table of all the prime numbers between 1 to 20. So the multiplication table you have to write it. For example, 2 is a prime number. 2 into 1 2, 2 into 2 4, 2 into 3 6, and so on till you can counter 2 into 10, which becomes 20. Then the next prime number in the series is 3, then 5, then 7, and so on and so forth. So write down a program which prints the multiplication table of all the prime numbers between 1 and 20. Why the divorcees are paying so much tax? Well, we are forcing people to stay married. Why should only one person suffer, Marian? Let everybody suffer. Okay, that's jokes apart. Let it be just a number. So in this program, if you look at the question 5, the question 5 is a little bit tricky and lengthy. So it's a little lengthy program and it is a little tricky program, but nevertheless it's a good program to solve. So these are your assignment problems for today. Okay. Any questions? So try and attempt solving these problems, and once you guys are done, drop me an email. So yeah, all assignments are due best before next class, but there is no timeline. Like I said, it's just for your practice. If you are able to adhere to it, great. If not, then also it is fine. But practice some of the concepts we have discussed in the class. So next week when we meet, we are going to talk about the concepts of collections, which is basically array, dictionaries, list, tuples, and we are going to talk about a data type called as string and string inbuilt functions. And we might see the user defined or the inbuilt functions in Python as well in the next week. Okay. So I'll see you guys next weekend. Will I go over assignments briefly in class? If you want me to, I will. But I want to give you guys time to do it on your own. So if you have an issue with a specific assignment question, we can discuss that for sure. Great. That's the spirit, Marian. So what is looking hard today will look easy tomorrow. So with that objective, we have to keep on taking baby steps. Okay, so that once we will start running marathons and that day will come very soon. Sure. Okay, then I will see you guys next weekend. Thank you so much for your time this week. Take care. Have a good week ahead. Bye, everyone.